Hey everyone, it's Kevin with PSTC, and guess what? It's time for your 2-minute training. Today we're going to talk about ethics. Today we're going to talk about that moral compass that we had coming into the profession, or maybe some people didn't have it coming into the profession. But how do you hone that moral compass? And better yet, how do you realize, ooh, that is not a good idea? Now, some of you in past years maybe have heard about one of my favorite lieutenants when I worked part-time at the Atherton Police Department. This was just a side gig in addition to my regular full-time dispatching job. And Atherton is this tiny little town, so there's one dispatcher working at a time, and the lieutenant has like 7 hats. He's in charge of internal affairs, he's in charge of the motor pool, he's in charge of dispatch. And the way that you knew that you had upset Lieutenant Harris, he's retired now, so I'll just call him Ron. The way that you knew that you had upset Ron is when you would hear the words, "What the hell were you thinking?" And you knew that you had not made him happy. Well, I was thinking about this recently because just last night I was reading about an Oklahoma dispatcher that had actually been arrested for drunk driving and a couple other, silly things. And I'm not pointing to Oklahoma, I'm not pointing to this specific dispatcher, because then I got an interest of, okay, that's that moral compass again. Is it a good idea to drink off duty and then get arrested? I would say probably not. So I just happened to Google for fun, 911 dispatchers arrested. What the heck? So here's just some of the topics. And you can kind of put this in your own little filing cabinet. Hanging up on collars. You'll remember that one out of Houston where the woman hung up on collars so much so that it broke the letter of the law. Shoplifting, on duty, drunk driving, got that one. Concealing calls about friends and family. If it comes into your center, it goes out of your center. It shouldn't stay in your little private file. It shouldn't be circumvented by you making a phone call to a buddy deputy. If anything, you should escalate it and call your sergeant, call your captain, call your lieutenant and says, "Captain, just so you know, this is my family's residence. Just so you know, this is my sister and she's been having some, depression problems, or she's been battling with some demons, and I want you to let you know it's my sister. I took the call from a family member." That way everyone's above water. Nobody is going to drown on that when you let somebody know. Tampering with evidence and the surveillance system within the department. I guess this guy was in cahoots with the chief and actually modified a case and modified the evidence, but then realized, oh, there's cameras all over. Well, I better go take care of that. Yeah, that'll get you arrested. NCIC violations. You don't run your daughter's boyfriend. You don't run your son's coach. You don't run your neighbor for warrants. You just don't do it. Now, if you think your neighbor's dealing drugs, go to your narcotics officer and say, "Hey, I think my neighbor's dealing drugs, and here's the time of day that it's busiest, and here's the plates that I've written down, and here's the things that have gone on," and do it like a regular citizen. Now, you're not, doing 5-0 stuff in the background when you shouldn't, because that's the stuff that'll get you jammed up. Falsifying time cards. Oh man, that's happened a couple of times just because you're buddies with the boss and suddenly you try to input for a couple hours of overtime. Don't do that. And then just bad off-duty choices, whether it's who you're, circling yourself with, the drugs or alcohol or not so, legal things you do. And then my favorite, only because it kind of makes me chuckle, even though it could have been much more serious. A girl got in a bit of a tiff with her friends. She was plenty loaded and decides to go walking out on her friends, realized that her friends were driving, and she saw a hot dog truck in the parking lot of the place and figured, well, maybe I'll get a hot dog, but then she thought differently of it, hopped in the truck that was still attached to the hot dog truck and drove away. So she's drunk, she's all dressed up, and she's got a hot dog truck in hot pursuit of her. Luckily, she was pulled over very quickly before she could hit somebody or hurt herself or whatever. But I'm thinking, at what point would Ron Harris go, "What the hell were you thinking when you hopped in the hot dog truck and drove away?" So there's your ethics and reminder message for the day. Have a great shift and do it ethically, will ya?